Hello, my name is Eric J. Miller from God'sPointOfView.com, and I'm going to be presenting to you what I believe is a more correct version of events of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, as explained by Reverend D. Earl Cripe in Volume 6 of his 6-volume series of commentaries on the harmony of the Gospels. There is a link to his book and his article on this subject in the info section below. So please check those out when you're done here. While I'm not sure I could categorize this discussion as vitally important to the life of the Christian, I will say that I believe it is important to get things right. And for a very long time, this chronology has not been right. Aside from its wrongness, the popular understanding of Easter week causes a lot of confusion among people, and I think having a better understanding of these events leads to less confusion, and that can only be a good thing. With that being said, let's begin with examining the traditional view of Easter week. It goes like this. Sunday, Jesus made his triumphal entry into Jerusalem before the Feast of Passover. The next few days are highly detailed for us in the Scriptures, and then on Wednesday of that week, Jesus makes this statement. You know that after 2 days is the Feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. People then interpret this to mean that Jesus will be crucified in 2 days, which is Friday, and that the feast of the Passover then takes place at sundown. Remember that Jewish days begin and end at sundown. As a result of these seemingly logical assumptions from this passage, we get a week that looks something like this in terms of a sequence of events. Ever since I was a kid, I've always felt this was a bit confusing for 2 main reasons. First, Jesus claimed that he would be buried 3 nights and rise again on the 3rd day. One of the times he mentioned it is in Matthew 12:20, which reads, For as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. Now, if he was crucified Friday afternoon, buried Friday evening, in the grave Saturday day and Saturday night, and rose Sunday morning, it's very difficult for anyone to count that amount of time as 3 days and 3 nights. Just be honest with yourself, stop the mental gymnastics, and just admit that is 2 days and 2 nights. The second big issue I've had with this accounting of time, the more I thought about it, is this seems like far too little time for all of those things to happen. From the time Jesus is taken until he's crucified, we only have about 9 hours from when he is taken around midnight in the garden until the time he is nailed in the cross around 9 in the morning. In that time, all of these things happen. Jesus is taken before Annas. Annas sends Jesus to be tried before the new high priest Caiaphas. Jesus is beaten by the Pharisee guards. Jesus is sent across Jerusalem to Pilate. Jesus is tried before Pilate. Pilate sends Jesus across Jerusalem to Herod. Jesus is tried before Herod. Herod's guards beat Jesus. Jesus is sent back across Jerusalem to Pilate. Pilate tries Jesus again. Pilate appeals to the crowds. Pilate sentences Jesus. The Roman soldiers scourge Jesus. Jesus carries his cross up Calvary Hill. Jesus is crucified. Now, even under modern circumstances, that would be a lot to accomplish from about midnight until 9 a.m. But when we take into consideration that everyone at this time had to walk everywhere, and that Pilate, Caiaphas, and Herod all resided in different places a good distance apart from one another in Jerusalem, this does not seem feasible. Add to that the fact that each of these people who tried Jesus would have had to have been waiting for Jesus just to walk in the door in order to try him as quickly as possible to send him on to his next destination. That is not only utterly implausible during the daytime, Caiaphas even had to assemble witnesses, but seems even less likely as this would have all taken place in the dead of night. So the whole chronology just seems impossible. So let's ask ourselves, why does the popular construction of the Passion Week come out like this? First, Jesus did rise from the dead on a Sunday. So if you want to observe the occasion, it's nice to always have Easter occur on a Sunday. So just like Thanksgiving, it's always on the same day of the week, a Thursday. In reality, the actual Passover festival occurs on fixed dates on the Jewish calendar. So the day of the week that it begins and ends on changes from year to year. So Passover is more like Christmas, It's always on the same day of the month, the 25th of December, but it's not always on the same day of the week. The second and larger reason this time scale seems so compressed and unworkable is based upon a misinterpretation of Jesus' words due to a misunderstanding of the structure of the Passover celebration. Looking at Matthew 26, verse 2, the words "the feast of" are not in the original text. They've been added in later by translators to help the reader understand what is being said. Now, whenever this occurs in the King James Bible, these additional words appear in italics, so they're easy for the reader to identify. Most of the time, they're helpful. In some cases, they're not so helpful, and every once in a while, they are wrong. In this particular instance, they're confusing. What this text is actually saying is this: "Ye know that after 2 days is the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified." Jesus is telling the disciples that the Passover begins in 2 days. Careful readers will also notice that Jesus does not say he will be crucified in 2 days, but that he will be betrayed to be crucified in 2 days. There is a big difference. But sticking with the Passover text, an important thing to understand here that many Christians do not is that the Passover is not a single feast on a single day. The Passover consists of 2 feasts that occur 7 days apart. The Passover is a week-long event, and we can read about the structure of Passover in Exodus chapter 12. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread, even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation, and in the 7th day there shall be an holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this selfsame day I have brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread, until the 21st day of the month at even. There are a lot of specific rituals involved in the Passover, but this passage gives us some important information. The 14th day of the first month at sundown, the Feast of Unleavened Bread begins. Then, 1 week later, on the 21st day of the month, the second feast was held. These 2 feasts begin and end the Passover celebration. It is also mentioned very strictly that no work is allowed to be performed on these 2 days. We can also learn some information about Passover from Leviticus. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover, and on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days must ye eat unleavened bread. In the first day ye shall have an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. In the 7th day is an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. Leviticus gives us mostly similar information as the Exodus passage, that again there are 2 holy convocations 1 week apart, and that no work can be done on either of those days. One other thing to note about the Passover celebration that we haven't mentioned yet is that on the 10th day of the month, a lamb is taken out from the flock, and then at evening on the 14th day, it's slaughtered. This is mentioned in Deuteronomy 16, verse 4. So with all of that being said, here is an example calendar of how the Passover week is structured. The main thing that we need to take away from this is that the Passover consists of 2 feasts 1 week apart, and it was never a single day affair. Understanding this is extremely important if we're going to understand what really happened during Easter week. So, let us start from a clean slate. With the words of the Scriptures and what we understand about Passover week, let us work out what happened and when. For starters, we know the chronology of Jesus' week from the triumphal entry on Sunday until his declaration on Wednesday that in 2 days it will be the Passover. Since we've already established that Passover is a week long and has 2 feasts, what other evidence do we have that this Friday that Jesus refers to is the first Passover feast? Matthew 26, 17 and 18, Now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus, saying unto him, Where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover? And he said, Go into the city to such a man, and say unto him, The Master saith, My time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at thy house with my disciples. In Mark 14:12, And the first day of unleavened bread, when they killed the Passover, his disciples said unto him, Where wilt thou that we go and prepare that thou mayest eat the Passover? Luke 22, 7 through 8. Then came the day of unleavened bread, when the Passover must be killed. And he sent Peter and John, saying, Go and prepare us the Passover, that we may eat. All of these passages confirm to us that this is the first feast of the Passover. If you'll recall, on the 10th day of the month, a lamb is taken out from the flock, and on the evening of the 14th, it's slaughtered. These scriptures combine with Jesus' statement on Wednesday that after 2 days it is the Passover. We can know without any doubt in our minds that the Last Supper was held on Friday night, the 14th, and the first feast day of Passover was Saturday, the 15th. Moving forward, Jesus was then taken by the guards that Friday night, early Saturday morning, and it is highly unlikely that anything would have happened to him on Saturday, since it was both the normal Sabbath and a feast day where absolutely no work was allowed to be done aside from food preparation. The earliest time when Jesus' many trials could have started would have been Sunday morning. So it is possible that it was on this cold Sunday morning when St. Peter was caught denying Jesus by the fire as the cock crew. But the trials in front of Caiaphas and Annas would have taken some time, as they had to gather witnesses to present against Jesus, which was not an easy thing to do in the middle of Jerusalem during this festival. The streets would have been very crowded and very busy, so let's assume that this trial lasted maybe for 2 days. Then Jesus is sent to Pilate for the first time. Pilate was a busy man and would have questioned Jesus only when it was convenient for him and not when it was convenient for everyone else. So upon his questioning, Pilate realizes that Jesus is from Galilee and sends him across town to Herod to be rid of him and the responsibility. Now, Herod had wanted to meet Jesus for some time, and because of the important work he had to do, Jesus had been avoiding him. So when they finally meet, Herod had many questions and wanted to see Jesus perform some of his famous miracles. This likely went on for several hours, with it ending in Jesus being beaten and mocked by Herod's men. Finally, we know that Jesus went again back across Jerusalem to Pilate, but Pilate did not see him until later in the morning. At this point, Pilate polls the crowd, and instead of Jesus, they demand Barabbas. Pilate finally sentences Jesus, has him scourged by the Roman guards, and sent up the hill carrying the cross. So it is on this day, Thursday the 20th of Nisan, that Jesus is crucified and buried. Now, what proof do we have that this is the correct day and date? Well, the intervening time from when Jesus is taken the night of the 14th to this day, the 20th, is guesswork, and it is likely not strictly accurate. It's only an outline of events and a general accounting of when it happened. However, that Jesus was crucified on the 20th of Nisan, 6 days after he was taken, and 1 day before the second feast of Passover is well documented and fits perfectly into all available information. First, we have these descriptions from the Gospels about the feast day and how there should be no work performed during them. John 19:14, And it was the preparation of the Passover, and about the 6th hour, and he said unto the Jews, Behold your king. John 19:31, The Jews therefore, because it was the preparation, that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day, for that Sabbath day was an high day, besought Pilate that their legs might be broken, and that they might be taken away. Mark 15:42, And now when the even was come, because it was the preparation, that is, the day before the Sabbath. First, in John 19, we see that it is a preparation day for the Passover. This is the day before the feast. Since we know that Jesus has already partaken of the first feast of Passover, this can only be the day before the second feast. No other explanation is plausible here. Later, in John 19, we see the rush the Jews were in to get the bodies off the crosses because the next day was an high day, a special day. It also calls that day a Sabbath day. The same is said in Mark 15, that the day after Jesus' crucifixion was a Sabbath. Here is where the other large confusion comes in when trying to determine the timing of these things, and understandably so. On the Jewish calendar, there is the Sabbath, which is Saturday, the seventh day, but there are also other days which are referred to as a Sabbath, or a seventh day. There are a number of 7-day-long celebrations on the Jewish calendar other than Passover, and the seventh day of one of these festivals, whichever the day of the week it actually falls upon, can be referred to as a Sabbath, or seventh day. So when people read that the day after Jesus crucified is the Sabbath, they assume this must mean Saturday, and Jesus has died on Friday. However, this is not correct. We know that this Sabbath being referred to is not the normal Saturday Sabbath. St. John mentions that this Sabbath is a high day, which is not a reference that would be made about the normal Saturday Sabbath. It is also mentioned that the day before this high day, meaning the day of the crucifixion, is a preparation day. For the normal Saturday Sabbath, there was not a whole day reserved in preparation for it. It was simply the Sabbath. The Bible means to tell us that this Sabbath was special. It could not have been in reference to the normal Saturday Sabbath, but only to another holier day, which could only have been the seventh day of Passover. So, what have we done with this chronology now? First, we've made it difficult to practice as far as an organized, commercialized religious holiday is concerned. But that was never where our loyalties resided in the first place. What we've done is preserve the actual structure of the Passover week. We've made it possible for Jesus to be tried multiple times by multiple people spread across Jerusalem, but most importantly, we've ensured that Jesus' own prophecies about his death, burial, and resurrection are honored. Jesus is in the grave Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. That is 3 nights. He is also in the grave Friday day, Saturday day, and rises Sunday, the 3rd day. This chronology works perfectly, from Jesus declaring the first feast of Passover will be in 2 days, until he rises on that glorious Sunday, and we have shown you the scriptures which testify to these facts. We hope that this short presentation has enlightened you and taken some confusion from you over the events surrounding Jesus' crucifixion. We pray that you will maybe take some time to visit our webpage, godspointofview.com, where we have a number of helpful articles, as well as a large number of commentaries in both Kindle and paperback form, at least until Amazon bans us. Check the links in the description, and may God bless you for your faithfulness.